Oh boy.
Welcome to the introverted business experience. This here is Bibi. She is well known for link outreach and, of course, her shenanigans in general. She helps a lot of people. Is even shouted out by, I believe it is that Philippines payment center Wise, TransferWise, I believe at the time. That was really cool. But it's best that you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Bibi from the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and I started out as a social media marketer, but then I turned into a link builder, and here I am with an agency, tons of clients and tons of work. That's basically it.
That's pretty um, cool to hear and pretty inspiring in general. But what I wondered is why link building?
Oh yeah, so when I was a social media marketer, I was working for a company that was selling trucks all over the world, like Scania, Volvo, all those kind of trucks. And they often invited SEO consultants or other types of consultants to come over for a day and explain stuff, right? We had our own SEO manager, but so one day this little Dutch guy came in, Peter van der Graaf, and he told me about link building, and I didn't understand one thing what he was saying. It was just like really weird and abstract for me. But that's how I learned about link building. And then I wasn't really suitable for working for a boss anymore. I wasn't really motivated. And I started Googling how to make money online, and that's how I found No Head Digital. It's I don't think if I don't know if they're still an agency, but one of the things they would do is to offer people an internships to learn about growing affiliate sites. And if you had done the internship, they would invite some of those people over to partner on a website with them. So while I was there, I started this little mastermind called Plan A, and I think we had like 6 people in there or something. Actually, Gareth Simpson, he's a well-known link builder. He was not in the mastermind, but he was part of the No Head internship. Um, so there were 6 people in there, and then I was building my own affiliate site, and I knew how to get traffic. I got like 80,000 at some point per month, but the monetization sucked, so I wasn't bringing in a lot of money. And then my friends, they were making good money with their sites, and they asked me to build links for them, and I didn't really know how to do that. I was just getting links naturally.
Mm.
So then I started looking on Facebook, like how do you build links, and I became part of a couple of groups. And because I was a social media marketer, it became very easy to me to build out a network. And more people, just not just my friends, but other people started asking me to build links for them. And
Yeah,
that's how I ended in link building.
that's pretty cool because link building is very specific, right? Like it's it's a part of SEO, but in general, there's lots to it. Um, and I think link building is what most people really struggle with, um, especially when they just start out with SEO, including me. When I started out with SEO, link building was so intimidating. Um, because you have to, it's a slow process. Especially if you do it as a beginner. What would you say is the most difficult struggle you face as a link builder?
I think it's managing client expectations. So when leads come in, right? I've now learned to manage their expectations really well. So I have a really big list of questions for them to answer when they come in as a lead. And it's actually for me a way to find out if they're a good fit for me. And then when I onboard them, if I want to take them on and I onboard them, I really make sure that they understand that I don't have a list. I don't buy stuff from a list. I do everything based on cold outreach. I have to deal with editors. I don't pay for a lot of links. Most of the links are not paid. So I have to actually deal with people. and dealing with people takes time. So sometimes it can be that the first links don't come in till 2 or 3 months later, right? So one of the things that I learned the hard way was promising people that the first month, right off the bat, they would have the amount of delivered links. But I realized about myself that in a lot of cases I can't do that. So now when somebody comes in, I tell them, look, the first round, so I don't talk in months anymore, I talk in rounds, can take longer. It can also be faster, but usually it takes longer. So I think that's the hardest struggle. If I look at people building links now, a lot of them are actually really great at link building, but then they take clients on and they promise them to deliver them a shit ton of links within the first month or something, right?
Yeah, so client expectations, I can get that is a difficult process, especially because most people are used to link builders using links like link lists, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a whole different world, of course. But then I can assume that you have certain metrics that you base your outreach on that makes it even more worth doing a cold outreach, right? How do you identify a good backlink?
Yeah, so I'm not a DR link builder. I'm not really a metric link builder. So that's another part of client expectation. So if somebody comes into me and says, I only want to have over DR 40 links, then it's better if they go to another link builder. So I don't focus that much on metrics. It is a good way to slash, giant prospect lists. So that's a way, if you have something scraping the internet automatically, you'll always end up with a really long list. And that's using DR and traffic minimum is a way to slash that. But we actually qualify prospects in I think 2 or 3 phases. So the first one is before the prospecting. So you set up like minimum metrics filter. So let's say DR 25 and traffic 1K or something. And then you start scraping. Then we have the eyeball test. So we just look at sites. Every site we look at with if they look spammy or something or just not relevant. And then we do the outreach. And when they come back, that's when we do another take. And then we look at inbound links, outbound links, the quality of the content, the traffic flow, if are there weird dips or weird spikes in it, stuff like that.
No, I do agree that DR is in general a flawed metric to base link building on because I would say it's easily manipulated, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of tricks out there to get your DR up, which would increase the value of the link. I think it's far better to focus on topical relevancy as well as traffic, because these are, well, topical relevance is easiest to actually manipulate, but traffic on that end to do that consistently for a long time period is simply not worth it to go ahead and do that. So I find that to be a good metric to base it off. But of course, like you just said, there's much more to it. That's why I'm not a link builder, obviously. Um, Another cool thing that I've heard about you is you're very vocal about it nowadays is the Dream Project. That's something I,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead and tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I was on a holiday and I employ people from the Philippines. And it always leaves a sour taste in my mouth because I feel like a neo-colonizer in a way or a neo-exploiter, right? Because it's just low labor and whatever. Um, but the way, I mean, we're a profitable company, but I do like to have a large emergency buffer if anything happens. So I can't pay people the same salary as I would pay somebody from the Netherlands, for instance.
Of
So there's
course.
not, I always feel bad about it. Um, so then I was reading this book while I was on a holiday called The Dream Manager. I thought it was going to be a book about how to be a good manager. I'm not a manager, but my team leads are. And I was reading it, but it wasn't about that. It was about a cleaning company where they had a lot of turnover. And they were looking at how can we give people more purpose and joy in the workplace without promoting them because there wasn't much growth possible. It's just cleaning, right? So they appointed somebody that would coach people in achieving their dreams. And I really like that because that's very valuable. That's more valuable than money, I think. So we started a little group to start with, and I asked people to list 100 dreams in all different types of categories. So, for instance, health or career or appearance or hobbies or whatever. And then they could be dreams that you can establish that you can achieve next week, but it could also be dreams that you work towards in 5 years or something. And then together we picked 3 dreams, and then what would be the first step, to
Yeah.
get you on a dream journey for each of these dreams. um yeah, so we started that, and I think it's completely transformed my business. I feel that even not everyone is in the group, so I have about 30 people, and about 6 people are in the pilot group, but the effect is trickling over into all the other departments. And I noticed that before I felt like I was in a grind. Link building can be a grind. Even if I'm not on the floor doing the execution, it's continuous pressure, and you're just going through it daily and everything. But since oh yeah, the other thing I noticed, that I was annoyed a lot. I was just mad at people not doing stuff. I was focusing on the negative things. But because of the dream project, I feel so much better about running a business.
Yeah, definitely.
So it helps them, but it also really helps me. I still feel bad about not paying them, equal pay, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
something.
totally get that. Like, it's funny because not that long ago, I'm not very vocal about my business success, not even to my family. So when my girlfriend asks me about my businesses, I'm very fake about it. But she asks, where do your people come from? Um, but most of my people are from Bangladesh or Philippines. Mostly it's same reason as you. If you hire somebody from Belgium, yeah, that's not the same. It's gonna cut in your profits really hard. And while I can afford it, I also like I'm a business owner, so I make good financial decisions. But just making sure that they know where my employees are is a difficult thing to say because I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you simply cannot pay them as much. I do give bonuses and stuff like that quite frequently to at least feel like I contribute to something. But the dream project in general was something I was very interested about because I think that it involves them more into the actual company. It gets them, well, it gives them the feeling that they belong there, which builds a lot of loyalty in general, but it also helps them. I think that's a really cool thing about it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Now, um, overall, you seem to do a lot to help people in general. Where does that come from?
Oh, wow. It's funny you asked that because I listened to a podcast yesterday, and it made me realize where that come from. So I grew up, my first 13 years of my life, I grew up with my mom, and then I ran away and I lived with my dad. And the reason was because my mom was an abusive alcoholic. So she beat me a lot and everything and neglected me. And yesterday I listened to a podcast, and it was about somebody who had also uh, a similar experience. And one of the things was that they have this, from that trauma, they have this drive that whenever they see injustice or people having a bad time, they want to fix it. And that's probably what I have too. So yeah, so I want to fix people and I want to fix situations. I have a very healthy dose of egoism as well, so it's balanced, it's okay. But I think that's where it comes from. That's why I'm a left rude snowflake.
I would say you go like you are very committed to helping in general, right? Like
Yeah.
bringing packages to our form of a shelter, basically. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, Myself, like I try to help as much people as I can. It's very funny because when I was a kid, I had this reality check because every kid always thinks they have nothing, right? Um, my house is the worst. I get nothing, you know. In my case, my mom was quite amazing. My dad, eh. but in the end we weren't rich, but we had enough to afford whatever that we really needed. Um, and we went to Brussels. I remember throwing a fit for Pokemon Diamond at the time, which was this Nintendo game. You know, I
Yeah.
was 9 or 12 years old. I don't know. Um, and while I was doing that, two other kids ran by me, and they were scavenging the trash can next to me bare feet during the winter.
Whoa.
Yeah, that broke my heart. Suddenly I was not throwing a fit anymore. Suddenly I realized that they were the ones who had a bad time. So I always think it's very cool if people go out of their way to help other people, and not because they expect something in return. Now, of course, you
Yeah.
do have to have some selfishness. What are we gonna do? Give everything away? You know? But still, that's a nice drive, even if it comes out of a sad place. That's of course most of the time the drive behind it. But it's good to help people. Do you
Yeah.
find that attitude helps you in business as well?
Um, yeah, I think so because I have empathy for clients, and for people working for me, and I can connect with people easily. So I think a lot of SEOs struggle with that. They're very data oriented, very sitting behind a computer all day. Not all of them, but So if you're not like that, if you're very open and social, and you're genuinely interested in helping your clients, they see that and they reward you for that.
Definitely, that's indeed that's really cool in general. I think being social is something a lot of SEOs struggle with.
Yeah.
Most are introverts, I would say. But then you have extroverts like Keith Evans. That's always really cool to see. People who are very funny and loud and try to help others. That's really amazing to see as well. So I would say, yeah, most SEOs are introverts. Now, recently though, you started speaking on stages, right? Like you're going to
Oh.
Brighton, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so I've never spoken on a stage before. I haven't done it yet. I'm already getting nervous. Never done that. I did sing. I was in bands and stuff, but it's different. Um, so yeah, Elida Solis, she kept saying to me like, you gotta pitch, man. You gotta get yourself on a stage. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Um, but then I realized, oh wait, if you, because I'm in a group with SEOs that speak a lot. If you do that, you can base your whole year on it. Like an itinerary, and you can have all these, little mini trips, speak there, and then have fun, and then fuck off again. Yeah, so I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. So I did it, and now I think I have pitch fever, because now I'm really looking through all the conferences, say, oh, I want to go there, I want to go there, and then pitching to them.
Are you like you said you were getting nervous? Is that gonna be a problem? You think? Do you
Oh
have
yeah,
to work
definitely.
it?
But it's okay. It's okay. It's so what I know from singing in a band and stuff and other experiences that uh I feel nervous on the inside, but on the outside nobody ever sees it. It
Yeah,
just doesn't come out. So it's all, yeah. And I might think that they see it, but they don't.
that's uh that's a really cool thing to have. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people actually struggle with that. I think my biggest issue with conferences, because I got asked to speak on three conferences in general, but I haven't yet, and mostly because I feel that most of the people speaking, they pitch themselves and just pitch themselves, right?
Right.
Um, if I would speak on a conference, I need the people who are listening to be able to go home and apply what I talked about, right?
Yeah.
An actionable strategy is something useful. And while there are great speakers, great ones, still, knowing what to talk about is also very difficult in order to not sound repetitive with people before you. Is that something you struggle with?
Um, yeah, because I feel like I've been saying the same I'm repeating myself basically. I've been saying the same thing over and over now for years, and people ask me the same questions again and again and again. But I guess that uh yeah, it really takes time for somebody to really understand it.
Yeah.
So I keep saying the same thing, which is basically segmenting and theming your emails. And then every time I put it in a different angle, I give it a different angle because people keep wanting that stuff. So
Definitely. Um,
yeah,
oh, that's I think very difficult in the SEO sector in general. It's not sounding repetitive, because it's basically what we do, right? We do the same stuff over and over again because it works. You know, if you find something that works, you keep applying it. Simple as that. Um, and then it's difficult to find something unique about that. But in general, your strategy in general is unique because you're getting good results, right? So that's really cool behind that. Now, where like speaking and all is really cool, but do you have other plans like writing a book, bringing out a course, anything like that?
yeah. So my business partner has been asking me to do a course for also for years now. Um, and I'm also creating some videos for Pitchbox. That's a outreach tool I use, which they also have been asking me for years. But the hard thing is the organizing because I'm really bad at organizing stuff. So now people have said, okay, we'll organize it, right? So you just do your video and then we'll edit it and we'll plan it out and everything like that. So this year I'm definitely gonna try to get to a course. The only thing that's hard is that I do train other agencies how to build links, but it's always very much tailored to the person themselves, right? So I'm not quite sure about how I can do a course that fits everyone. So it's going to be hard.
Yeah, still like it looks very promising, you know, because nowadays I always look at courses to get nuggets out of it and
Right.
apply them in my strategy. Although I'm not a big fan of courses in general because they always like 90% is nonsense, right? In the sense of they just keep talking as a self-promotional pitch.
Yeah.
But there are good ones like Matt Diggity, the lab. I love that one. Jordan Pierce released one. So I think courses can be quite useful. And with link building, I would say there's very little actual good content that you can go ahead and watch and learn link building in. Because I know that that was my biggest struggle, but I also know plenty of people have that issue, you know, and some good content on link building in general would help a lot with, well, more people getting into it, but also understanding how good links are built. Because I think there's very little information on that, and if there's information on good links, they're often contradicting each other because people tend to focus on different metrics all the all the time, causing them to contradict each other, with no end result. So yeah, of course, would be really cool. Now,
Yeah, cool. I'll try.
now you're doing link building for a while now, but before link building, social media managers, like what
Yeah.
did you do? How did you roll into this world?
In social media?
Yeah,
Let me see. How did that happen? Yeah, so I had a baby and then I realized I don't want to work in an office because I think my last job before that was some administrative thing. And so I wanted to find a job where I could work from home. And I applied for one at the trucks thing. And I said, yeah, I want to work from home. And then they said, yeah. Um, so that's how so the only reason why I did social media was to be able to work from home and stay with my kids.
yeah.
Um, and the only reason I got into link building was because wanted to make money online. And I got into affiliate sites, and then I fucked it up. And then those people asked me to do link building. So yeah,
But you know that's quite inspiring because you get more time with your kid, which I can
Yeah.
imagine is yeah, that would be very difficult, I think, to go to work knowing you have a baby. Yeah, I think that's very difficult. So that's pretty inspiring. Do you ever regret making the jump to link building instead of starting your own social media marketing company, for example?
No, I don't. I'm not a. No, I don't like social media marketing. I mean, as a job or as a service or something, because it's I liked doing it for the trucks because I could plan ahead a lot of stuff and schedule it, so it wouldn't be that much work. But it's sort of ongoing, right?
Yeah.
So no, I don't regret that.
No, I actually have a friend who is a social media marketer, and I think it's easily replicable. Like people can easily do it themselves. And for a small business owner who doesn't have the budget to hire somebody, that's most of the time gonna be the move. Um, so this friend of mine, she lost literally 40 clients, I believe, in the last 2 weeks, because it's very seasonal as well.
Yeah,
And as social media marketer, you're too like it's a volatile market unless you go all in. You're the person who creates the content, takes nice pictures, stuff like that, knows about branding. But if you're just gonna create posts, I think it's not gonna last long if you would do it as a company or as a business model. It's not very solid, I would say.
no, I would probably move into consultancy if I was a social media company. I would just move into consultancy as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a far safer road because
Yeah,
the posting stuff, everybody can really do that, and it's easy to learn, in my opinion. But it's more so that there's more to social media, and that's something
yeah.
you need to learn. Uh,
Yeah, and also, I mean, I when I was doing social media, I didn't believe in broadcasting, so
yeah,
I believed in engaging with everyone online, right? For with all the fans and stuff. So that's not something you can automate easily or
yeah.
scale or whatever. So yeah,
No, definitely, definitely. I think in general, engagement, you have to engage with people.
yeah,
And that's indeed where it gets very tricky to scale in general. Um, you can do that maybe for 3 4 customers if they're not too big, but that's where it would hold up, causing your growth to be either completely stopped or slow down, and that's not a solid marketing strategy, in my opinion.
yeah. Nope, not for me. No regrets.
There's a lot to lean building, right? And that's really cool. But have you ever thought of going full blown SEO?
No,
No.
no, because I think I like working with an in-house SEO team and all they want is links, right?
Yeah.
And they take care of their part of the job of the on page, the internal links, all that stuff. So the only thing I'm responsible for is delivering good links and helping maybe a little bit with advice and stuff. Um, if I was doing the whole SEO thing, first off, I'm chaotic, so I would wouldn't even know where to focus on. But also, I would be responsible for everything. That's yeah. And now I can do, and now I'm specialized in something that a lot of people need, but not a lot of people want to do. And I feel like in the end I can price higher than if I was doing full round all round SEO.
Oh, definitely. I think if you would run an SEO agency, the links will eventually cut in your budget, because you can no longer charge just for the links. So you're
Yeah.
charging for all your services. And there's a lot of, well, it would be a lot to focus on everything. So that would be tricky. Yeah, that's not feasible, I think. Now,
For me, yeah.
uh, Matt Singers is somebody I talked yesterday to, and he said that he often does personality tests for his team. Is that something you do to find out whether you have a good fit? Like, do you do personality tests, team building with your team?
Yeah, so Matt is amazing, by the way. He's awesome. I have his course. I never finished it. Sorry, Matt. He's always asking me, did you finish it? But I have no attention span. But he's really so cool with about remote workers and all that stuff. I know actually also know the personality test he uses, but I've never used it on I think what was it called again? I don't know. Hmm?
Disc it was.
Disc. Yeah, exactly. So um uh yeah, when I hire somebody, it's really important that they have excellent language skills, casual English skills, and that they're really good at communicating and that they're creative and detail oriented and all that stuff. So when somebody when I when somebody applies for a job, they have to do tests, so I can test that. And then I have a call with them and I see if it's easy to communicate with them. And then the first month is a trial. Yeah, so that's about it. But I do a lot for team building. Um, we have a very busy Slack, so we talk a lot. We do shout outs. We do games, not as many as I want to, but yeah, quite a bit. And for instance, I'm about to organize a drag makeup workshop.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, so there's gonna be somebody in the Philippines, drag queen, and she's gonna show how to do drag makeup. So we're all gonna do that. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Definitely sounds like a lot of fun. So that's really cool. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, Matt said that one of the biggest issues agencies have, whether they're SEO agencies or companies in general, with hiring is that they're often looking for somebody that is like them, right? Um, would you say you ever struggled with hiring and with that in specific, that you look for too much of yourself in people you hired, or is it strictly based on your tests?
Yeah, I think there could be a pitfall sometimes because I have some people that are very introverts, and then it turns out when they're working for me that they're actually the most creative, wild, out of the box thinkers, you know. Um so that can be hard. But when I hire someone, I really try to not. That's why I also do a written test before I have them on a call, because then I can see what the actual output looks like. And
Yes.
but still, it can be hard because I'm Dutch. I'm very direct, you know. So I value that in other people. So when I'm on a meeting and somebody doesn't like something, but they're not telling it to me, it can annoy me. I'm allergic to that. But then I have to understand how to approach it a different way. So I do find out if they really want something or not. So what I've done now, this is gonna sound super racist, but okay, so if I ask somebody like, "Are you okay with this?" or "Do you understand?" or whatever, and they say yes, and then I ask them, "Is this a Filipino yes or another yes or a Dutch yes?" You know, and but they laugh because they're like, "Yeah, no, Then they say, "Yeah, maybe not," and then yeah.
I can see what you mean, because
Yeah.
people, well, not just Philippines, but in general, they are more desperate for work. I often think because their wages are way lower, right? So they need
Yeah.
to work. Um, so that they're like they think if I say yes, well then I get to keep my job basically. Like
Yes.
yeah, I see that a lot too. Um,
Yes, I was also struggling with that like last year in December when the typhoon hit in the Philippines.
yeah,
And then of course a lot of people couldn't work, which was fine because we had enough money or whatever to pay them. And then we also donated a lot of money for them to help with their house and stuff.
really
But
cool.
then I didn't realize, and I found out later, that they were all afraid that I was going to hire them for not being able to work. So I had to tell them
Yeah,
over and over again, you're not going to lose your job. This is beyond you're not responsible for this disaster. Why would I fire you?
exactly.
Yeah, but it's also probably from their own experience that or from family and friends that
Yeah.
that has happened. And that's our responsibility as people hiring them.
No, definitely. I think a lot of business owners, they are like, okay, those people can't work up to the next batch, and that
Yeah,
actually sucks, I think, because, you know, eventually all my employees, they're very connected with me, like we always talk, like to the point where if they have personal issues, they come to me. And
that's so important. Yeah.
yeah, I love that because then that makes it fun for me to work with them as well. Um, I believe one of my employees, the grandma was in the hospital, and then I helped them too, help them pay the hospital bills, talk with them, because that eventually who you work with, it becomes your crew. It's like a separate family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they like a disaster, they can't do anything about that. And
Yeah.
it's sad to see that some of them actually might have experienced something like that, where they are let go for reasons they have nothing to do with. That's absolutely idiotic as well, especially because the typhoon was really, really big this year, right? Like it
Yeah.
frequently happens, but it was really big. That's why I said that transfer wise thing. That's when they shouted you out, right? I believe.
Oh yeah, that was yeah. I think it was around that stuff, but
Yeah,
I think I think they waived the fees or something for transactions to the Philippines. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, it's funny you remember that. 'Cause I forgot.
yeah.
Um,
Secretly, I was like staying up all night looking up all the facts, on who
nice.
you are. I just have an insanely good memory. That's not even a brag,
uh, so can I ask you a question?
for sure.
Do you offer health insurance for your employees?
No, I I didn't even think of that, to be extremely honest.
Yeah.
I assumed most of them had it. What I do is, like I said, um, if they need money for external affairs like family members in the hospital, I will pay the bills because that they are my people. So
Yeah,
I
that's amazing. Yeah. So I've been looking into that actually. But it's kind of hard to find a good solution because the health insurance. I also asked Mads about that, by the way. The health insurance in the Philippines is pretty corrupt. So actually, the way you're doing it now, like the reimbursement, is probably the best way. But I'm still looking into it, like how to do it.
Oh, that's pretty cool because I didn't really think of that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh. Yeah, I can see that that would be very corrupt, especially that the Philippines might sound very racist, but again, their wages are very way lower than ours. So I can see why somebody would be more tempted by money to do something, or cut money when they can.
Yeah,
Well, I would say in Belgium, it's just far more regulated. So
yeah,
we get lucky by that. I wouldn't know about corruption here, but I can see why it would be that bad in those countries, which sucks because most, like, I can say that most of the Philippines, people from Philippines are actually quite pleasant. And they are one of my favorite employees, because they're so, well, very outgoing and,
yeah.
yeah, and very
It's
driven.
it reminds me. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but it reminds me of there's this institute called Hofstede. I think they're in Belgium, but I'm not sure. The Hofstede Institute, and they look at and cultural differences between countries. You can go to their site and you can do like a comparison, and they use I think 4 or 5 dimensions. So one of the dimensions is individualism and collectivism. So for instance, the Netherlands is a very individualistic society, and the Philippines is a very collectivist society. And then there's stuff about hierarchy and masculine and feminine and all that stuff. So it's really cool that if you have employees that are from a different country to go to that site and then put in the two countries and then it compares them and then you understand why you might have some communication problems or whatever because it's just different in a way. I also know that there's this company called Online Dialogue. There's a conversion rate optimization company, in the Netherlands, and they use the Hofstede dimensions to look at website designs. So, for instance, in China, this is I think 10 years back, but anyway, in China, the hierarchy is very strong. So you have very
Yeah.
strong hierarchy. So the web design is also based on hierarchy. So that's why sometimes a Chinese website can look very chaotic to us, but it's actually all like these hierarchic strips and stuff. Yeah, so I think it's cool to dive into that
Yeah.
if you have an international company.
Oh, that does sound very cool in general. Learning more about your employees is important, I would say.
Yeah,
Now, personally, I am thinking of eventually actually going to Bangladesh, because that's where the majority of my people are,
nice.
and get a place there to put an office there. Is that something you ever thought of doing, is getting an actual office for your people? Because obviously productivity would be higher, right? Like when,
That's an assumption.
yeah, yeah, that is actually an assumption.
Do
And
you know how much time I wasted in an office?
yeah, good point, good point.
But people might like it though. It's up to your team, but my team, they did say so. So every year, end of the year, I have end of year calls with people one on one, and I talk about how was the past year for you, work wise, personal. What are you looking forward to next year? All that stuff. And one of the things that came up was more connection. So even though we do a lot of company culture things, they wanted to have more connection with other people, more meetups and sponsored lunches and dinners and
Yeah,
stuff. But nobody said a shared office. They really like working from home, and they really like, they're all gamers and stuff, so they're used to sitting at home and connecting online. Um, so maybe I don't know if I don't. I actually, to be honest, I hate offices. I don't want to create office, but I do think it's nice to have people meet up more often. For social stuff, not business stuff.
only reason I'm really debating of doing that is because first of all, like it puts them together, right? And most of the people that I hired, they are good friends in real life.
That's
So
good.
so that would mean they, like, two of my employees, they asked, like, they actually wondered if I was ever planning on doing that. And I think it would help them be there together, aka keeping each other accountable. But on the other hand, um, for example, I used to be very socially awkward myself, and I would hate it if people keep me accountable because I know what I'm doing, right? So I took that as a great offense. So I get why offices could also be counter effective. I get that point. Now, of course, it's really cool that you actually keep track of what your employees want out of your company. Um, would you say you frequently do stuff like promoting them or giving them a bonus because there's like a top where you can only go to, right, with a link building agency?
Yeah. I don't think enough. I mean, we have like a birthday bonus, and after a
Cool.
year they get a bonus, and sometimes if we have like a good result, if I don't know, a financial results, then we give people bonus. Um, uh, uh, but I don't think it's enough. So this year we're gonna work towards profit share,
Yeah,
and because we can, right? So
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna try that and see. We'll still keep the other bonuses, but include people in the profits.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, that's very interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's something I haven't thought of yet, to be fairly honest. So that's something that sounds very interesting. I can see that motivates your people tremendously.
Yeah, I also thought about doing KPI based stuff. So now we pay people based on their hours that they worked. And I actually don't like that. I would rather have it based on KPI. But the thing is that it's really hard to measure because a lot of stuff that they do is a group effort, or I don't know. There's even within, well, even between teams, it's not like, oh, this team gets a KPI bonus or something, because a lot of they're all working together in a way as well. But yeah.
I would say hiring per hour, that's something I don't do. And the main reason for that is because some people just generally work faster or find an easier way to do it, which cuts their time like way shorter. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
they did less work, you know. In most cases, they did actually more work than somebody who works slower. Um, so that's something
I
I
really
try
want to change that. I want to change the hour thing, the work time thing, but it's hard because we have
to,
to, yeah, because I have to think about it how we're gonna do that.
yeah, definitely
Um,
yeah, the skill, you know.
yeah, because when you have very specific roles, it's easier to measure.
Yeah.
But in my company, some people do only one thing just because they like it, but other people they would go nuts if they just did one thing. So they do a lot of different things, and then it's really hard to measure. But one thing that I'm really excited about is the GPT thing, GPT chat, the GPT-3.
It's
Yeah,
not
the
cheap,
AI.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, so I'm having everyone play around with it. I call it Geppetto, from
yeah, from
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, yes.
Yeah, because Pinocchio wants to be a real boy, and it's AI and all that stuff. But I think if people learn how to use it to their advantage, they could do the same work in 1/3 of the time. You
Yeah,
know?
definitely. I think ChatGPT is really cool. I would say it's still well, it's not gonna replace anybody just yet. Um, but I do think it's now gonna go really fast from here. You know, I think it's gonna go really fast. Google also came out with their own version named Calm, which is a
Oh, I haven't used that yet.
yeah, it's I don't know if it's open to the public yet, but it's apparently way faster than Chat
Oh,
GPT, you know. So I think from here on it's gonna go really fast, and that's gonna be really tricky for a lot of people. But yeah, that's where you need to be on top of technology, right? Like I do not like the AI yet in the sense of it's not something I can apply yet, but I do think not learning how to work with it or seeing the possibilities of it is gonna get you left behind. So it's very important to get on that bandwagon. I believe because not now, but let's say the next 3 years, I believe are going to be very vital for AI, especially chat-based AI. So yeah, I think that's gonna
yeah. Yeah, I use it for prospecting, coming up with prospecting angles, prospecting keywords, and content ideation. And I even did some outreach emails with it. And the outreach email did about 80% good. So I would just have to tweak a couple of things in it. Um, and I would never fire somebody because the AI made them redundant or something. So that's why I'm teaching people how to, asking people to play with it and learn how to use it. And then if they can use it and save a lot of time, we can either say, okay, we're going to spend that time on other projects. So, for instance, I'm going to get back into affiliate sites again, or we can take on more clients because right now I have a client stop till April, right? But if it opens up more time, then could
yeah,
take on more clients. But I actually don't want to take on more clients too much.
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, people always say that.
Yeah.
And then you get a burnout and they're like, you work too hard. No, it's a good problem. It's the leads are always coming in, so it's good.
Speaking about leads, is there any acquisition channel you have set up, or is it merely reputation based?
I think both. So I get a lot of referrals. I think you're right, referrals when
Yeah,
somebody else recommends you. I have some link builder friends, and when one person cannot take a client on because it would be a conflict of interest, they bring them to me or vice versa. So that really helps. And podcasts always really help.
yeah,
But I also got leads from like really stupid stuff. Like I made a dumb joke on Twitter and then somebody said, I like your joke. And it was a big client, right? So that's yeah, social media really works well.
I can see that like generally on social media, I try to, well, just be as genuine and as possible, and that gets me majority of my customers actually. Truth be told, most of my customers, they actually come from different agencies. I do have acquisition channels set up because I run multiple agencies. Um, so for scalability, that's required. But a lot of customers that I get that aren't in specific industries actually come from other agencies who just like what I share. So they're like, I like this dude.
Yeah.
He seems knowledgeable, so I'm gonna send him some work. So yeah, that's a really cool thing to have.
Yeah, if you think in abundance, and you create that space, and it just flows in. I feel, I think a lot of people think in competitors and all that stuff, and I don't know, that doesn't really work for me.
I like, I'm a very competitive person, like extremely competitive. Um, if you and I would play a chess match and I would lose in chess, I would stay up till I win from you. So
There's no way you would lose. I cannot think more than two steps, well, more than one step ahead. You would win. Don't worry.
I'm really, really competitive, but when it comes to
Yeah.
business, that's not the case. I
Oh, good.
believe
Yeah.
that winning together is better than winning alone. Like I don't see my competitors as competition. Of course, I do want to be the best in the sense of I want to provide the best service as possible. Um, and that's great. But I do think that if my competitors are doing well, it's gonna affect me positively in the future as well. It might not
Yeah.
increase my overall revenue immediately or do something like that, but in general, I love seeing people win. I think that's a good thing to have. And if you're friendly with your competitors and you actually turn them into friends, they will soon become business partners over competitors. So I think, yeah, you gotta step away from that hostility part and actually connect with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think about I don't know what there's an official word for it, but I forgot. When you have a street and they're all shoe stores,
Yeah.
why are shoe stores sitting right next to each other, Because they're competitors, but they usually don't see each other like that. So that's yeah, I like that.
I think as a business, if you're going to, like, sure, I get if some people get fed up with their competition, because sure, I do have bad competitors too, in the sense of
Yeah.
they are mean and stuff like that. But if you don't get swallowed up by that and you don't waste your time investing in that, then yeah, other people will catch on. I think it's gonna be far more profitable and better for your peace of mind in the future in general to have good competitors, people you
Yeah.
actually bounce ideas with.
So it must also be hard sometimes when you're introverted. If you go on Twitter or a platform like that, because people can get very negative and very direct and aggressive towards other SEOs. But what I do, because I'm 47 now, so I don't have any time and energy for
No
people.
way, no
No,
way,
I'm 47.
no way, no way.
No, I'm 1975. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is I don't have time anymore. So as soon as somebody just is
Yeah.
annoying or whatever, I just block them. My block list is endless. It's I just like fuck off, don't have time. You do you.
Yeah, first of all, I don't really believe you.
I can show
That's
you my passport.
genuinely, and this might sound as if I'm that guy that's like, yeah, you look way younger than you are, but I genuinely thought you were only a couple of years older than me. So I thought
No,
you were
no,
like
man.
28, something like that.
No, no, no,
Jesus.
no,
I
no, no, no.
didn't know that.
No,
That's cool.
it's no, no, thank you.
I didn't expect that. No, but I get that. My block list is enormous as well.
Yeah.
Enormous. And it's just I don't put up with fights. It's also funny because it's called the introverted business experience. But what I found out in the last year is that I am not an introvert at all. Um, I just was very socially, like I had a long ass relationship that wasn't very positive for me, so I kept
Oh,
myself
yep.
boxed in. And quickly after that, I went working out, so I quickly found out that actually I don't give a shit. Yeah, I
That's
would play
good.
a guitar solo in the middle of the Aldi if I want to. I don't care. I'm having fun. But yeah, my block list is enormous because I
Yeah.
can't afford to waste too much time on negativity. Everybody's gonna hate. Like, there's always gonna be haters. There's always gonna be people who dislike you. That's fine. Let them do them. You do you. I think that's important.
Yeah, it's funny because you said that you thought you were an introvert, but you're not.
Yeah.
Because there's this other podcast called Omdenken. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's a Dutch
Oh,
podcast, but and this guy, it's well in English you can translate it to flip thinking. So you think something is a problem, but if you flip it, then it's actually not, or whatever. But he was talking about there was this young guy, and he never wanted to go to parties or social gatherings because he just, he doesn't want to, and he's introverted and stuff.
yeah.
But then they were talking about identity, and that there is no identity is a construct. It doesn't really exist. So as soon as you try to label yourself as something, you get stuck in that label, right? So yeah, you can also act introverted or act extroverted. It doesn't mean that that's you.
Oh,
So
it-
yeah, so he was letting go of the whole identity thing as a whole.
no, I can definitely see that. Like, Um, sure, I was socially awkward as a kid, but that's mostly because I was a fat kid, right? So I was really big, and I got bullied a lot for that. So as a result, I didn't really like people. Um, but when I got older and after my relationship, I quickly realized that I really don't care what people think about me, as you shouldn't. So yeah, that contradicted the whole introverted thing. But I think I used being an introvert too much as an excuse, not having to talk with people, hiding
Mm,
away, because that was easy. So yeah, I can see that that works in a lot of cases, especially in mine. So yeah, totally get that. Anyway,
yeah.
we're running out of time, but it was really pleasant to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice.
I really thought you were 28. So
28,
well,
I'll take that.
yeah, that was yeah, that was a fun revelation.
Cool.
So I learned a whole bunch. I was really thank you for appearing. That means the world to me. Before we say goodbye though, is there anything you want people to know? Any plug?
Um, a plug. Oh, you mean like yeah, yeah. I don't know. My site, bbuzz.com. You could check it out. There's nothing on there. That's about it.
For
Um,
people wondering, Bibi is going to speak on stages. I
oh
will,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, come see me.
yeah.
And if you come dressed up as something, that would be awesome.
As for people listening, yeah, she's going to speak on stages. As you can see, very knowledgeable in her field, cares about her employees a lot. I respect that. That's really a good thing. I will put everything in description in order if you're interested to reach out to her, of course. And thank you so much for appearing.
Thank you very much. It was very nice.